Hi, Emma.
Hi, Nico. Good to see you.
Great to see you. For those of you who don't know Emma is part of the 11 o'clock service and she works for CSW. So, Emma, we'd like to know what drew you to working for CSW and how long have you been working there?
So I've been there just over 13 years now, and I actually started working there not long after coming back to faith, after going on an Alpha course at St George's, actually. So St George's is a big part of my CSW journey, and Richard has been was there at the beginning of that journey for me. I came to faith and prayed about what I wanted to do next. I've been in the city for quite a long time, and bit burnt out really, and just thought, actually, I don't want to use the skills that I've got to keep making rich people even richer. I've done that, and actually in my newfound faith I was like, God, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? I'll go wherever you send me. One of those lovely new Christian prayers, without quite realizing where I might end up. And through a very I suppose only a God ordained series of circumstances, I actually came across the CSW job. I'd seen a job advertised actually in the church newsletter for Oasis, and I thought, oh, I'll apply for that. And when I went to apply for it, it wasn't there. And the CSW job was at the top of the list. And when I got in touch with them to find out what they were doing, actually that job, they sent me the job spec and it literally mirrored my CV and what I'd been doing. So I really felt this was God answering my prayers, actually. So I went through the whole process. And I was really, really humbled when they offered me the job. I knew nothing about what CSW does. So CSW is a Christian human rights organisation, works with people who are facing injustice because of their belief. I knew nothing about it. I was a complete novice, knew nothing about human rights. I just knew that God was calling me to use the background that I had in marketing and communications and business development for his kingdom, and that had been my prayer. So that's why I went, really. I always knew that I had a heart for justice issues. I hate it when things aren't fair. So that was always something that had kind of bubbled under for me. But yeah, that was my journey. Very much CSW and St George's kind of very much intertwined for me.
And what's happening with the whole COVID situation with countries where Christians are persecuted?
I think as the pandemic hit, we were concerned that those communities and people that we're working with who are already targeted, harassed, discriminated against, and potentially even the victims of violence, we were really concerned that this pandemic could cause their suffering to worsen. And it's really sad to see that actually that's been the case in a number of the countries that we work in. And it's quite interesting to watch the parallels of where we're living similar lives now to believers in other countries. So they'll be doing virtual church just like we are. We're hearing lots of stories of church communities reaching out to their neighbours with aid packages and essential supplies, just like many people are doing here. But what's different is the consequences that they might have. So Nico, when you're preaching your sermon, it's probably quite rare that a policeman would storm in and storm up the stairs and arrest you for preaching. And yet that's what we're seeing in countries like India and also in China. Preaching is happening just as it is here, except people are at risk of being arrested. There's one church in China where the 6 leaders had the electricity to their homes cut off to stop them doing virtual church. A pastor in India who was arrested in the middle of his live streaming his sermon. We're seeing cases also of people who are helping those in need. So Christian communities in Nepal and elsewhere are giving aid packages and food packages, which is really amazing because quite often they are at risk and vulnerable themselves, and yet they're reaching out in love. And then are at risk of being accused of converting and arrested under anti-conversion legislation because of what they're doing. So it's really interesting just to see those parallels with how we're responding to lockdown and the pandemic here, and how our brothers and sisters around the world are, and yet the consequences we face are quite different. I think our experience of lockdown is quite different as well. So here, by and large, most people at least have respected lockdown and taken those measures seriously. That you've got countries like Nigeria and India where lockdown is in place, and yet extremists are still taking the opportunity to attack Christians and Christian communities in those countries. So we're getting almost several reports a week of lockdowns being broken and extremists just kind of running rampant really and attacking Christian communities as they were before. So I think the experiences and consequences are very different right now, and those that were suffering before are suffering even more now than they were a few months ago.
And Emma, obviously we support you because you're doing something about it.
Yeah.
And as kind of Christians here in Ashtead, what can we do, and what are kind of one or two causes that you're working with that we can do something about?
I think you have a really important role to play, and I'm so grateful for your support and for the church's support. I know I speak for everyone in the team when I say that. We really want you to keep praying with us. I'd really encourage you to head to our website, which is csw.org.uk, and you'll see some of the latest cases and news for prayer. So prayer is something we can all do at the moment, and please just get in touch with us if you want information to help you do that. I'd really want to encourage you to join our campaign for Leah Sheribu in Nigeria. She has just turned 17. It's her third birthday, where she's been held in captivity. She's been held since February 2018 by a faction of Boko Haram, which is an extremist group. Her mum hasn't seen her. We don't know how she's faring under that captivity, but we're still calling for her release. So we'd really encourage you to head to the CSW website, sign that petition. There's a new action going live in the next couple of weeks where you can write to your MP and ask your MP to do something to get the UK government to call for her release as well. So we'd really encourage you. I know many people have signed that already, but please do get on board if you haven't already, and keep praying for Leah and for her mum, Rebecca, particularly.
And could you share what's happening in China as well?
Yes, the situation in China has become much worse over the last few months. There are a number of issues we're concerned about. The one campaign that we're running at the moment is for the situation in Xinjiang. So there are over 1 million Uyghur Muslims and others from different ethnic groups who have essentially been detained in what the Chinese government calls re-education camps, but essentially they're prison camps. And people might have seen some of the stories in the press over Christmas of notes being put in by Uyghur prisoners into Christmas card packs that were then sold in Tesco. So we'd really just encourage you to join the campaign for calling for those camps to be shut down. Particularly at the moment, with the spread of the coronavirus, obviously that poses a real threat to that community and those people who are housed in really unsanitary and poor conditions. So you can find all the details for that on the website as well.
Thanks, Emma. That's really useful, and I think it gives us also the chance to do something about it, which when we see injustices, one of the most frustrating things is that you can't do anything about it. And this is actions we can do. We can sign petitions, we can pray, we can support. So thanks for sharing that.
I think it's really encouraging. I heard yesterday that one of the MPs that we work with receives letters from his and emails from his constituents every week about Leah, and has done since we were first talking about her case. And he has then picked that up, and he has been doing what he can within Parliament. So just to encourage you that when you're doing something like this, you might just feel like you're sending an email, but actually the person who's receiving it, the person who's getting the petitions, they are actually taking the causes up and working with us. So yeah, I'd really encourage you that what you're doing is making a difference, and when you pray, you're joining thousands of people around the world in praying, and we're trusting God that he is going to answer those prayers in his right timing.
Yeah, no, and thanks for all you do. I think a lot of us remember when you were talking about Leah, can't remember if it's a year or 2 years ago, and I think that does make a difference, and we all want to really be part of the difference.
Thanks,
Nick. So thanks.